Section for Kentucky. The other team in this perfection discussion just now beginning to feel the national spotlight. The Princeton women, they are 27-0. But even as they have laid waste to all in their path, they were unranked through the first 8 weeks of this year. They're now ranked 13th, directly behind a Kentucky team that has 8 losses this year. But the Tigers have already set a single-season school record for victories. They trail only #1 UConn in the margin of victory. And, of course, they rely on the 3-ball in fashioning this remarkable season as we say hello to Princeton head coach Courtney Banghart, who joins us via Skype. Joining us on the telephone, Princeton basketball legend and former U.S. Senator and 2-time NBA champion Bill Bradley. It's good to have you both here. Courtney, how does a team so good remain under the radar so long this year?
You know, that's not something I can really control, right? We know we're typically a place known more for people like Bill Bradley and other people that have made significant contributions to society. And the basketball might be secondary, and I think we're proving that no longer is basketball secondary. You can have it all here, and proud to do it.
Senator, at what point this year did you get dialed into what's happening with this women's team?
Well, I've been following Courtney ever since she came to Princeton. I think she's the best coach in basketball, certainly. And I think that this year proves her talent. And I got interested last year in a very intense way.
Why do you say she's the best? What makes her the best in your estimation?
Just watch the way the team plays. I mean, it's totally unselfish. They space the floor well. They hit the open man. They box out on rebounds. They hit the open shot. I mean, you know, how many more do you want me to give you?
Sounds like a Knick team that you might have been familiar with.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't disagree with that.
No. Courtney, I was astonished to learn today that only one Ivy League team, and that was a number of years ago, Harvard, has ever won an NCAA tournament game. Where is Ivy basketball right now?
Well, I think it's kind of what Senator Bradley just said. I think it's a true 5v5 game at the Ivy League level, and so you need to have a special year where you have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 kids that are really, really talented and can play the team game. Because, as he said in our locker room after one of the games recently, is that you can't go into an environment like that and win in a 1v1 battle. And we've coached 5v5 since the minute I got here, and we're fortunate enough that in these rare years where you get really good players across the board and across your roster, you can have a special year, and that's what we are. We've got a lot of special kids on this roster.
Senator, how was your visit with this team this year? How'd that go?
It was great. They had an incredible game. It was fun seeing the enthusiasm and the respect that they have for Courtney and the love they have for each other. I mean, I think they truly understand they're in the midst of an experience that will last a lifetime, and they want to prove all the naysayers wrong. I mean, that's what we wanted to do when I was in college. We wanted to prove all the naysayers wrong that said an Ivy League team couldn't compete against the best.
And how does an Ivy League team compete against the best, Senator, from your experience?
It wins games. It moves through the NCAA tournament. It overcomes some adversity that will never really be there.
Courtney, you know, we look at that 27-0, and at the same time, the eye inevitably goes to the rankings. I mentioned number 13. You're below a Kentucky team with 8 wins. Some of it's perception. Some people are looking at common opponents and whatnot. How much time at all do you think spend thinking about that?
You know, I think hopefully the people that make the decisions are spending a lot of time thinking about it. You know, here we're not thinking about it too much. We enjoy that we're in the national spotlight because we feel like we've earned it. You know, scheduling in our business is a bit of a challenge because you have to fit it into a lot of different variables, and obviously you're only one half of that scheduling challenge. But you can only control what's in front of you, and that's, are you progressing throughout the season, and are you getting better in February? And I think really great teams are still getting better in February, and that's what we're doing. So it's a matter of, you know, one at a time, and we're starting to get recognition, and we're glad we're getting it now. Whether we got it earlier or not doesn't really matter. It's what have you done for me right now.
Well, earlier in our program, we talked about the undefeated Kentucky men. Here are the undefeated Princeton women. Obviously, 2 schools with very different media profiles and 2 different ways of doing business. What do you see as the differences and the similarities between yourself and Cal's Cats?
I think we'll start with the similarities. I mean, having to compete night after night against everybody's best, right? Because regardless of where they are in their seasons, if they beat you, they've made their own season. So to be consistently, to come out with that edge every game and consistently play together against varying styles of play is a challenge. And I have great respect for Coach Calipari, as I do many of the coaches on the men's side who've had sustained success. Some differences, he is coaching pros that he only gets for maybe a year, maybe two, and he's got to try to teach them the college game and how to play together. And we're getting what are oftentimes become CEOs or somehow members of the public sector that become really important to society. And we're trying to, inside the lines, make sure that the commitment to basketball is consistent. And that's what we're getting, is we're getting people that what they are off the court is totally irrelevant to what they are on the court. And I think that's what Coach Cal is trying to do, is what their future aspirations are. It just doesn't matter. What's inside the lines is what matters, and I think that's a similarity.
Senator, in the year 2015, certainly you're very familiar with the Ivy model, the way it's done there, and what's happening right now and the pressures on college sports. What's the realistic future of the Ivy model?
I think that if there are kids in the country who are very bright but who want to compete against the best, there's no reason why they shouldn't go to an Ivy League team. And in fact, I think they'd be better off in the long run. And particularly with the women players, I think that I'd say the prognosis is good if Ivy League teams have great coaches and the players understand that they're there to get an education first and then to compete against the best second, but that's a very important second.
Incredible stories in Princeton. The women's team certainly near the top of that list, if not at the top of the list, certainly in Princeton, New Jersey. Courtney, thank you so much. Best of luck. Senator, always good to speak with you. Thanks for joining us outside the lines. And right now, ESPN's bracket expert Charlie Cream has Princeton in as a 6th seed in the women's tournament. Take a look at the current bracket as it stands and all the latest news on ESPNW online. We'll be back.
The last